made headlines when she walked away from the massively successful show NCIS New Orleans in 2018 to forge a new path for herself. That risk has now landed her as the new star of one of Netflix's most talked about shows, You.
Super glad to see you in class today. That class is for really fit people, but don't worry, you'll get used to it. I had so much baby weight to lose.
Same. I had quite the journey. I mean, much worse than yours.
It was. It really was.
Is it just me, or is everyone in this conversation calling me fat?
No.
And would that even be pejorative? I mean, beauty doesn't have a size, love.
Here in studio with us, please welcome Shalita Grant to the Tamron. You look amazing.
I have chills. I'm so happy to be here.
Is it cold in here?
No, I'm so glad to see you.
I'm so glad to see you. I mean, talk about risk reward. First of all, I'm obsessed with You. I binge it and rewatch it. It is if you've not seen this series, you are missing out. And that you're joining the cast.
I am the queen of season 3.
Phenomenal. Okay, before we get to you and you becoming the queen of my favorite show, talk to me about the decision to walk away. People always ask me about my decision in the prior job to here. I'm fascinated. The night before you walk away and tell them that you're going to walk away, what was that like for you?
Oh, it was about a year and a half in the making. So I had started, documenting some of the physical damage that was going on. It's harder to document the emotional damage. But, anybody who was a fan of the show, you knew Percy's ponytail looked different every week, sometimes within the episode. But what you didn't know what was going on with me, with my natural hair. So, I started documenting in January 2017, what was going on with the wigs. In 6 months' time, I had already had a bald spot in my head from season 2. In the front of my hair, I was threatening baldness. So when I came back for season 4, and everybody on Twitter, let me know, that looks like a helmet. By that point, I didn't care anymore because I was protecting myself.
For people who don't understand, because they think, okay, we're just talking about hair, this was something deeper and traumatic that was happening to you.
Yeah. So, Cicely Tyson did an interview with Sherri Shepherd on The View, and Sherri asked her, you've been in the business for decades and there's so much more representation, how do you feel about where the business is? And she said the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I was 24 when I heard her say that, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, I grew up in the 90s, UPN, WB. But there's truth to that. So when you get a show and it's a multi-million-dollar show and you see that, your treatment in the hair department is totally different from what's going on with your coworkers, on a granular level, you're like, okay, like that sucks. Like, I have to pay for my own wigs. I have to come with my hair done, but this is a multi-million-dollar production. But then to get blamed for production, right? Like, we all know time is money. So there was a episode where it started to rain, and my white coworkers were also like, we can't walk across the street in the rain. Like, we'll have to get blow dried, whatever. Well, that story got turned into Shalita couldn't walk across the street in the rain, and that kind of story, it becomes she's hard to work with. But the truth is, I wasn't being worked with. So
you started to be labeled these tropes and memes
difficult.
That we...
Yeah, difficult. And for a Black woman in the business, that is a death sentence. So I had to save myself because it's upsetting now, but, it's over. But
so you saved yourself.
I had to save myself.
By taking this leap of faith.
Yes.
Shalita, you took one of the biggest risks in television, leaving a show where 22 million people watch, and you didn't know what was next. And I love this quote from Shonda Rhimes, of course, the creator of some of the best TV out there. She called you one of Hollywood's secret weapons. Now, it's one thing for somebody to say that about you. You have to believe it about yourself. And I know that you were told you would not get a show as big as the show that you were leaving.
No. And I have to say, like, when people tell you your limitations, they're just talking about themselves.
Wow.
So 22 million viewers, you know, and in less than 3 years, I'm on a show that's streamed over 1 billion times.
Gosh, that's amazing. All right, so tell me about, were you a fan of you before you started auditioning for this role?
Yes, so part of my leaving was I wanted to change my boundaries with the business, right? So I was like, I only want to do shows that I would watch. I only want to do shows that I would actually sit down and watch. So 2019, December, before the world changed, I left the country. I went to Spain alone, and I chose this You show as like my hotel companion show. It's like, do you really want to watch a show about serial killers when you're out of the country by yourself? And I'm like, yes. So I was a fan, and then I got the call season 3 that they were interested in me to be on the show, and I was like, this is the universe. This is the synchronicity I was looking for.
Crazy you say this, because when I first started out in Chicago, I was at the Holiday Inn there to interview to be a reporter. I saw a morning show. It was called Fox Thing in the Morning. And I said, I'm going to host that show one day. And a few years later, I became the host of that show.
Right.
And I was thinking back on my life, I'm like, how did I know that? What was it about that moment? And the same for you. What was it in that moment that, do you think you manifest things? Did you, vision board? And I'm all here for the vision boards. But like, what do you think it was?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I don't look like what I've been through, right? Not even recently. But I come from teen parents, right? So when you're raised by children, anything can happen. And I learned very early that I had to, if I wanted something, I had to make that happen. And so, I remember my first depression. I was 15 in Baltimore, and I was just like, I'm gonna get out of here.
Wow.
Like, I'm gonna make this happen. And for me, part of my story, and this is something that I wanna give to everyone, is that it's not just about surviving, right? Because that's still an attachment to the past.
Right.
It's about thriving.
Wow.
So I have the audacity to not only leave a show, leave my background, I plant flowers wherever I go.
Oh,
I
that's so
give
beautiful.
joy wherever I go.
You're so inspiring, which, I mean, the person you are, who I now have fallen in love with, could not be more different than this creepy character that you got. So tell me, or explain to us the character you're playing and why we should be terrified of her.
Okay, so I play Sherry Conrad, and she is the queen of Madre Linda. Now, this role after Search Party, this is the second hyper feminine character that I've played, and I'm a character actress. I like to disappear, but she weaponizes her femininity. She plays the politics of pretty, in her neighborhood because she is the queen. Joe and Love, I don't want to spoil anything, but they're new killer parents, and they have to come into my killing community to see how far they're going to get.
Okay, do you survive this season?
I don't want to spoil a thing.
Goodness.
I don't want to spoil a thing.